Okay, so I promised you 36 ways to add 100K to your business. All right, 36 different ways. So let's have a look at some things that you can do. Now, I already mentioned about additional services. So let's have a look at some of those additional services that you can start to add. Refurbishments. If you are first of all, who charges their contractors for the work they put through the contractors? Raise your hand if you're charging your contractors. If you don't charge your contractors. Then one extension on that is we're doing refurbishments for landlords. Now, I don't know if you know this about me, but between 1997 and 2002, I was really, really full on with acquisitions, and I used to help landlords buy properties. And between 1997 and 2002, I actually bought 450 properties for landlords during that period. It was a buy-to-let heyday, absolutely phenomenal. But I also did 250 refurbishments for landlords as well. So I was the woman in the estate Audi, as it was at the time, with a toolbox, putting together the Argos and the IKEA furniture. That was me for those 250 refurbishments and furniture packages. I did that for 5 years. It was crazy, absolutely crazy. So anyway, refurbishments, a lot of letting agents do refurbishments but don't charge. So here's the problem with that. When you do refurbishments and don't charge, you begrudge popping in to check on the place. You begrudge spending too much time focusing on that, so you do a half-assed service of it. If you charge for it and charge 10, 15 or 20% of the total cost of the refurb, depending on the value of the refurb, then would you agree with me that you'd be happy to spend more time on it, yes or no? Give me a nod or a shake. Of course. You're getting 2-3 grand payment for it, so therefore you don't mind doing a pre-refurbishment spec, checking the job halfway through towards the end, doing a spec list and all that sort of stuff. So again, charge for it and do an awesome job, because if they're not paying you, they're going to be paying somebody else. It's insane that you manage a refurb without charging a landlord. It is just crazy that you're doing that, because, my God, how much responsibility, liability, and effort do you carry as a result of doing that refurb? It's just crazy. All right, furnishings package. I did furnishings for years. There are 250 refurbishments, and about half of those, again, were furniture packages. Now, it depends on the area. Some places don't require furnished properties, some do. If you're in an area where furnished properties is a thing, then consider doing furniture packages. Write this name down. There is a warehouse supplier called Seconique. Maybe Jeevan can type it in the chat box. It's Secon, as in second, but without the D. Seconique, I-Q-U-E, Seconique. Go and find their website. They deliver all over the country. You can buy dining tables and chairs that you could buy in Argos for, say, 300 quid. You can buy it through them for less than 100. So you can times it by 3 and still be nowhere near price they actually sell it for on the open market. So it's a great way to buy trade. All right, so furniture package. Property sourcing. Again, there is loads of people, and you're probably getting emails from loads of people wanting to source properties for you, buy you, all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of people doing this that don't have the experience that you have. So it's just crazy that when a landlord says, what shall I buy, where shall I buy, you're helping them and not charging them for it. So all you do is you say, right, Mr. Landlord, I'm going to charge you 2% for anything that I buy for you, plus VAT, and you pay on completion. And on top of that, I'm going to require you to sign to be with me for 2 years under management. Now, of course, you have to be registered as a property sourcer with HMRC, so you have to make sure that if you do sales already, that's fine, you're already registered. You have to make sure that you're following the rules and guidelines of the Property Ombudsman Property Sourcing Service. Okay, so there's a few bits of criteria and legals. Make sure you've got a good contract in place. But yes, you can do property sourcing and charge 2%. That is more than you're going to get if you sell a property, and you've got 2-year tie-in as well. We love that all day, every day, and I'd rather do that than sales any day of the week. Professional photography, great if you've got HMOs, great if you've got student housing, great if you've got really high-end properties as well. Have a media marketing pack and charge a fee for that additional service. You could include drone if you wanted to, whatever, but really start to charge for that extra level of service. A lot of people we find charge this up front on sales side, and we had one lady that was charging £3,000 for property staging for a HMO, massive property, £3,000 for property staging and photography and videography of that property that a landlord could use for years. So again, name your price, up to you, but something to consider. Inspections and inventories upgrade. I showed you earlier how to do the inspections. Again, for inventories, some people include inventories, but again, you can do a higher level inventory. So yes, we do a standard inventory, but if you want a videography inventory on top of the standard inventory, you could charge extra for that. Same with inspections as well, same with check-ins and check-outs. Sales and or auctions, just to mention, if you're not doing that already, of course, there are options, things you can add. Landlord rescue service as well. This is a great one. There is a lot of landlords out there right now that are feeling the pain. They've got letting agents that are driving. Letting agents. Bleh. They've got tenants that are driving them mad, and they want to get out. They've got portfolios that they can't restructure, that's not making them any money, mortgages that's squeezing them too tight, all those sort of different things. Create a landlord rescue service. If you create it, they will come. If you don't have it, they won't. And the silly thing is, most of us are doing this for free. Now, the last landlord rescue service I did, I charged £10,000. And this was a landlord who'd won the lottery, bizarrely, spent it on 10 properties, of which he hadn't got the mortgages to complete on them because the mortgage has been withdrawn from the market. This was 2007. And as a result of that, he was then stuck having to complete on these properties and yet not having the funds to do it. I charged him £10,000 to get him out of those deals, which I did, and then I helped him buy 2 HMOs, which I charged him £15,000 per HMO to charge him for. So I made £40,000 on that one landlord rescue service. Okay, so think about how you can help landlords that have got a problem for a high fee that you can solve. Okay, so think about that. Landlord rescue service, you have it. And I bet a lot of you are doing it already. Who's ever had HMO landlords come to them and they're worried about whether it's compliant or the council's turned them down or anything like that? Raise your hand if you've had any of those. Yeah, that's quite a common one. That's one we did a lot of sort of about 4 or 5 years ago when HMOs have really taken off in Wolverhampton. And we got it to the point where the council would actually say to people, go and see Concentric and do what they say, and you're not getting a license until you do. And they used to come to us and say, oh, can you sign me off? And we go, no, you've got to do this, that, and the other. And we got a great relationship with the council, and we were charging a lot of money for that. So think about how you can rescue landlords in your town with some of the stuff you're probably already doing, but put a charge wall before it and make sure you're getting some money for it, and you're being recuperated for your time. Adding more services. Higher services, VIP, I've talked about that already. You know, a lot of people now are charging 15 and 17%, which sounds crazy, but if it's giving that little bit of luxury, that little bit of personal service, that bit of one-to-one, the annual review, all that sort of stuff that, you know, people who like to turn left on the plane want, then you're going to get people who come for it. And about 30% of your market would be up for that if you offered it and you get the package right. Mid-level service essentials, lower-level basics, upsells, size sales, downsells, and mentoring packages. You know, you could offer a one-to-one mentoring services for landlords that are thinking of buying, thinking of selling, thinking of restructuring, coming up to retirement, someone's just died, they've inherited a portfolio, anything like that. Think about how you can start to put this into your terms and conditions. Let me ask you this. If you put in there about a mentoring service or a landlord rescue service and nobody ever bought it, is that a problem? Yes or no? You put it in there and never buy it, is it a problem? No, it's not a problem. But if it's in there, have you got a chance someone will buy it? Yes or no? You've got a chance. That's it. And that's what it's about. It's about putting those in there. Then you educate this to the staff. Then you talk to the landlords. And at least what it will do is when a landlord comes to you and says, hi, Sally, I've got 26 properties. I'm thinking of selling them. Can you help me work through the process on how we sell them and restructure them? You're going to say, certainly, Mr. Landlord. We have a £10,000 portfolio restructure service. How would you like to pay? It'll stop you doing it for free. Does that make sense? Give me a nod or shake if that makes sense. Having a fee stops you doing it for free. Oh, that rhymes. That's quite good. All right, so that's the second one. All right, so start looking at restructuring your offering. Next, tech spec up. All right, so now we're looking at how we can start to use technology to actually be a little bit more savvy and be a little bit quicker. All right, client accounting software. PayProp is a classic example. There are others available on the market. But you know, we shouldn't be sitting there doing the banking and spending hours doing that. If you haven't got a good, solid system for client accounting, you need one. Has anybody ever been defrauded, stolen from, or anyway had problems with client accounting? Raise your hand if you had. No, it's interesting. So quite a few people have. And it's quite a risk, really. If you've got staff doing your client accounting for you, or they have access, or you haven't really tightened up your banking processes, that's where it really has added value in having some sort of client accounting software. New let and progression software, there's no reason for it to take 17 hours for you to get a tenant into a property anymore. There's lots of software on the market now that can help you in speeding up the process of actually getting your tenants moved in. In fact, they'll do a lot of the trigger points for you. They'll make sure everything's done properly. It's so so much easier than doing the old paper styles. There's so many things you can do there. Maintenance handling software, Fixlow, for example. There are others on the market, but there's maintenance handling software that will really reduce your time. Tenant call handling software. Raise your hand if you still have tenants calling your office when they want to view. Raise your hand if that still happens in your office. All right, raise your hand if that doesn't happen in your office. All right, so it sounds like most of you still have tenant calls coming into your office. If that's the case, get some software that stops that happening. There's many out there at the moment that you can use, but they will literally take the tenant and they'll send them to an application form and you merely receive the application that gets the calls out of the office. We haven't got time for all those calls that are coming through. It's stopping us doing anything else. Photography and floor plan kit, there is loads of those kinds of things around, but just make sure you've got all the kit that just makes you work a lot smoother so that you can go and focus on adding that 100K, adding that additional revenue and making that money. Build your supply line. Now, I've got 5 companies. It's not an accident that I have 2 letting agencies which send all of their property management to the White Label Property Management Centre that has all their marketing done by my marketing company and all the ads are driven by the marketing company. And then we have a training company because all my team originally needed training and now I train everybody else. It's not an accident that I have this sort of organic network of businesses. By the same token, what have you got? So ask you the question, where do you spend your money? So if you find you're spending a lot of money with the inspection clerk, or a lot of money with the maintenance company, or a lot of money with the furnishing company, or a lot of money with the mortgage company, or whatever, where are you sending most of your leads? Where's most of your money going? Maybe it's time to think about setting up a secondary company. Now, this is not something you do tomorrow. This is a later end strategy. Squeeze the juice first, acquire some properties first, build your business first. This is something that comes later on down the line, but it's certainly something to think on. Could you have a secondary business separate? Between 1997 and 2002, when I did my 450 properties that I acquired and 250 that I refurbished, I ran it as a completely separate company because I had a business partner that was a little bit lazy. Raise your hand if you've ever had a lazy business partner, by the way. Anybody had one of those? Yeah. And I thought, he ain't getting the money. I'm having this to myself. So I ran it as a completely separate company, and there's no reason why you can't too. So something just to think on. Convert those let-onlys. Are you ready? All right, we need to convert those let-onlys. I don't know how many let-onlys you've got, 200, 300, 400, 150, whatever it is. You can convert those. But you can also convert other people's let-onlys. And I think we will find, if I ever figured out the stats, and I don't know the stats, but I would guess that most of the let-onlys we convert to fully managed are not actually our own let-onlys. They are just people that have come to our webinars, they've come to one of our funnels, we've had a chat with them and we've converted them. Because quite often, one of the things that Ali gets told is, why has my letting agent never told me this? I've let my property through them, but they've never told me this. Well, you know, they just don't. They won't. So convert those let-onlys, but not only yours, other people's as well. And here's a plan for it. All right, first of all, build a marketing vertical to attract them. What do let-only landlords want? Well, in my experience, if you put on a free webinar, they will show up. If you put on a free seminar, they will show up. If you offer a free guide or download, they will download it. They want free information. Okay, so try and find a way in one of your funnels, either a webinar, a download, a guide, or something like that, to attract them with free information. I mean, if you wanted to go all out, build a podcast, or you could run a YouTube channel, or make videos, whatever your style is, it's up to you, but find a way to educate them and get them into your sphere, so to speak. Build a funnel to convert them. All right, we love webinars because they spend an hour and a half on a webinar with you. They get to know you, they get to like you, they get to trust you. And as a result of that, at the end of it, they then think, oh my God, I didn't know all this stuff. I didn't know that I was falling foul of all this legislation. I didn't know I could face a fine or prosecution. I need a letting agent. Oh, you're a letting agent. Can you help me? Well, I suppose we could. It works really, really well. So we like that. Train the staff on conversion skills. So really sort of work to the staff. Now, this was fascinating because you think, oh, this makes sense. They're a let-only landlord. We want to convert them to fully managed. The amount of times when we first started this years ago, I found my staff saying, yeah, sure, we can come around and do a valuation. I'm like, no, they don't want a valuation. Oh, well, what do we offer them? I said, we're going to have a chat about converting. Oh, not a valuation. No, it was so hard to move them away from that free valuation thing they were just done for so many years. So train the staff on how to convert let-only to fully managed. Have a script. And it starts something like this. hey, Mr. Landlord, you downloaded our webinar guide, you're interested in some legislation and a bit of an audit. How are you getting on with your compliance? Okay, so let's talk about this. How are you getting on with your HHSRS? The what? How are you getting on with your Homes and Fitness Standard? How are you getting on with your Immigration Act checks? Did you register the deposit? What about the How to Rent guide? Ask them those few questions. All of a sudden, they will have no idea what you're talking about. And you'll go, Mr. Landlord, you do realise you're falling foul of X, Y, Z, and penalties of A, B, C. Mr. Landlord, you need management. And once they've heard they've got a £30,000 fine, penalties, rent repayment orders, and whatever coming, trust me, your 50, 60, 70 to £100 a month management fee won't sound a lot of money. And hey presto, you'll convert them. So build a funnel to convert them and train the staff. Next, set goals to do this. This is really important. If you're going to get the staff trained on this, it's different to what they're used to doing. So you want to set a target or goal for the staff on how to convert them. Right, I want you to convert 10 every single month, and I'm going to give you 50 quid for every single one that you convert. Bang. All of a sudden, they're going to be focused on it. Right, if we can convert 20 this month, I'll give you a £250 bonus. Great. They're going to start focusing on that. Really work on it. Train them, cajole them, target them, reward them, recognize them. And then, of course, you've got to embed the process of taking over these properties and make sure they're not taking on any rubbish, because they will try. We've been there. We've done that. And set a goal. Say, let's convert 100 in the next 90 days, or let's do 25 in the next 90 days, whatever you want to set. But set a goal, remind them, keep them on track, and work it. Now, just imagine, you could go and buy a company with 100 properties that would cost you, say, £100,000, or you could convert 100 properties in the next 12 months that would cost you the cost of running a webinar, which is about £300 to put on a webinar. And if you did that every 12 weeks, that's £1,200 for a year's worth of webinars. And what that does is it gives you the equivalent result. So what would you rather do? Acquire a business or convert 100 landlords? Who would rather acquire the business? Thumbs up. Who'd rather convert 100 landlords? Thumbs up. Interesting. Okay, whatever suits you, it's up to you. This is your plan and your story, but there's many ways to do it. All right, build a funnel. Okay, I love funnels. I just build funnels all the time. There is so many funnels you can build. But running a webinar has to be number one. Download funnels work really, really well. They love that. Application funnels, that's when you apply for something and then you have to fill out some questions. I like those for the higher value funnels. So things like your landlord rescue funnel, your portfolio restructure funnel, that's where you would use an application funnel. And a registration funnel as well. If you wanted them to register to become investors, you wanted them to register for a seminar or things like that, you could use a registration funnel as well. There is another dozen different types of funnels, but just to give you an idea, if you get the key funnels, you can literally have leads coming in all the time. And do you know what? You cannot beat walking in the morning and seeing 25 leads in your inbox. You just can't beat it. You know those listers that sit there and go, oh, there's no one to ring. I've rang everybody. Has anybody got a lister like that, by the way? I've rang everybody. There's no one left to ring. Is it just me that has these people? At the end of the day, they're never going to say that when you've got a database of 10,000 people to ring. They're never going to get to the end of it. All right, Rhiannon's favourite one, acquire the competition. So how do we acquire the competition? You identify SME businesses up to about 100 properties, okay? Find people up to about 100 properties. They're the ones that you can acquire without using any cash. Approach them usually via a text message or some sort of message, not usually by letter. That's not usually how we do it. You can do it by letter, but we tend to put it more by text. Approach them, get to sign an NDA with them, negotiate heads of terms to make sure you're agreeing to what you're agreeing, get the agreement and get everything transferred. That's really simplistically the process. Of course, there is lots more involved in it than that. But in reality, the hardest thing that most people fall down on and don't do, most people won't make the approach because they're scared. They're fearful. They don't know how to have the conversation. They don't know what happens next. So at Bootcamp, we take you through the process, and then we say, right, send the text messages. And as I say, 30-odd can be sent in a simple half-hour session. So it really is powerful. Get out there, start having those conversations, start making those deals. If Sam can do it, anybody can do it. So acquire the competition, a great way to add literally chunks of 50 properties, 100 properties, 150 properties, 200 properties. Once you've learned how to do this stuff, it's just like, why wouldn't you? It's just crazy. So I can see why Rhiannon's on this mission now currently it's Cornwall. It'll be the UK soon, so she'll be in a town near you at some point, I'm sure. All right, recruit an A players next. If you start going the acquisition route, you will definitely need an A player because you'll need someone to sort out the back end while you're at the front creating waves of chaos. Dawn is mine. Rhiannon has Sophie. They're equal partners, but they work together. Recruit an A player. So have a think about how you can recruit an A player. Now, before you go recruiting one, what I urge you to do is have a look at who's in your office, because your A player is probably in your office. They're probably not polished yet. They're probably not totally okay for the role yet, but they've got that desire to do well. They've got that character, that they're keen. They do everything you ask them to do. They just need a bit of polishing. I would much rather have somebody that's keen and enthusiastic and does everything you ask them to do, that just needs to learn how to do some of the core skills, rather than bringing someone else that's got all the core skills but hasn't got the right attitude. So Dawn, I saw something in her 16 years ago. She's been on a journey, and here she is. And I have many staff that have been through that process, and a lot of my A players have come that way. Jeevan, for example, here came to me, I think he was about 17 years old or something. He's been with me about 9 years. A lot of my people have come to me very young, and I've worked on and worked them up. However, sometimes you have to go and recruit. So when you do, make sure you're recruiting properly. Rather than recruiting on skills, recruit on culture. So make sure that you're recruiting based on what you're looking for in your culture, in your skills. Use a recruitment funnel so that it takes away all those reading of CVs. It will save you thousands, absolutely thousands. I saw a report online that said it costs an average company £38,000 every time they have to recruit someone, because of the loss of time and the increase of cost and everything else, and the loss of business in this transitional phase. But if you can speed that up, then do so. You know, even if you don't have a funnel and just do it automatically, get them applying to you. Don't have it that you're reading them their CVs. Recruit on culture, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself have a lot more A players. So that's really worked for me. Filtering process, however, I cannot swear by it enough. It is a godsend. All right, I told you about this earlier before. Who, not how. All right, so how can we find out who to do tasks rather than trying to do it ourselves? As letting agents, we try and do everything, and we end up doing everything averagely or badly, or some bits good, some bits bad, or everything average. Whereas if you can find specialists to do some key things, then all of a sudden you're going to have a very different viewpoint. So who can you hire to do those things that you don't want to do, whether it be the ads, whether it be the YouTube channel, whether it be the Facebook, whether it be the property management or the client accounting, or whatever it is you don't like doing? What can you outsource? What can you get done for you by somebody else? We outsource so much, and you know what? It is a breath of fresh air. The liability for, doesn't disappear, but it becomes less of a problem. It goes to somebody who is specialist, so generally they do a better job, and it means you can focus on what you want to do, which is generating revenue, optimizing the business, acquiring other businesses, growing the business, and making sales. Outsource the lower level, simple outsourced tasks, or optimizing them through software and stuff like that. Hire the best in-house team you possibly can. I see so many businesses struggling with inferior staff, and they keep those staff even when they can't do the job properly out of loyalty. At the end of the day, your duty to your business is to get the best people on your team to work for your clients. And that has to be a mantra, to get those right people in. Your business will be a very different place. And I use this as an example. When Ali didn't have the right salespeople on the phone, it was bloody hard work. Very, very difficult to get any conversions. Get a salesperson on board, and it was just like, poof, it was like hot knife through butter. It was just like, bang. The difference was night and day, black and white. It went from it's not possible to, oh my God, this is easy. And that was the difference. The only difference was the humans on the phone. So think about who you need on your seats. If you're struggling, it might not be because the job's hard, it might be because the person is wrong. And it's your job to maneuver the people around and get the right bums on the right seats. Restructure your team for excellence as well. So think about, is everybody in the right seat? Maybe they could be better in a different seat. And one of the key things, I want you to write this down, is keep everybody in their lane. One of the big challenges with letting agencies is everybody does lettings. Well, they shouldn't just do lettings. You should have people, this person's in charge of getting new business, this person's in charge of the tenancy management, this person's in charge of the client accounting, this person's in charge of the sales. But if you're a small company, it might be that they have to time box and spend half the time on this and half the time on that, but never ever should it be everybody does everything. That's never how it should be. All right, build a sales team. Recruit salespeople for sales roles. This has been something since we launched funnels in 2019. There's a massive realization that, if we're honest, a lot of lettings people are not very good salespeople. Estate agents, great salespeople. Letting agents, not such great salespeople. There are exceptions to every rule. But in the main, lettings people want to talk about legislation, compliance, Section 2.4 and all that sort of stuff. And when it comes to sales, they will even say to you, that's not my job. I'm not here to do that. You're a lister. Yeah, but I'm not a salesperson. You're a lister. I'm not a salesperson. That is sales. They don't see it as sales. And so one of the things we've realized with funnels is you need salespeople. Now, you may have somebody in your business that is a salesperson. It might be you that kicks off that process. It might be a lister. It might be a neg, but it might be you have to hire in. So think about who you have that's salesy, that gets excited by doing the sale, that wants to chase the lead, wants to convert the lead, and wants to do business. Have a think about that. Train the art of sales in conversation as well. So really start to talk to your team about everything is a sales conversation. Even the tenancy managers we train to look for opportunities. If they have an inspection report that says the property's in the 1970s, it needs a refurb, but that is a sales opportunity if you support people through refurbs, isn't it? Yes or no, guys? Give me a nod or a shake. That is a sales opportunity. So think about how you can look for opportunities in everything that you do, particularly when you've got more services. Set targets, set awesome bonuses, excellent commissions, pay your staff loads of money. We do hustle hour, which is a bit like power hour, but slightly different. We stick £10 notes on the window, come and grab a tenner every time you book an appointment, ding the bell, spin the wheel, win a prize, whatever it is, just have some fun with it, but really make selling and generating business fun. Really look at your meetings as well. You can really squeeze the juice by optimizing your meetings. And to optimize your meetings, you need to make the people in the room accountable. So one of the things that I like to do is when they come to the meeting, they have to bring their numbers with them to the meeting. I don't say, you've only done 10 lets this month. I say, you tell me how many lets you've done. And they say to me, I've done 15 lets. And I say, well, that's interesting because there's only 10 on the system. Get them to come to you with their numbers and have meetings where everybody talks, not just you talk, and you'll start to see a very big difference. At first, they'll try and avoid you. Next, they won't bring the numbers. Then they'll realize they have no choice, and then you'll start to have some seriously compelling meetings that actually make sense. It will make a big difference. And if you have anybody who is not performing, have someone who's making too many mistakes, people who don't give a shit, they need to be removed, and quickly, because they will stop you hiring the next person that's going to make a difference. And then keep learning. It doesn't matter how old you are. You've got to keep learning. Business is changing all of the time. You are the most valuable asset to the business. And yet, why is it this? I always find it fascinating that letting agents will spend thousands sending their staff for training, but they'll spend nothing training themselves. Somehow we think that when we set up in business, we know everything. We don't need any training anymore. We don't need any of that. Well, I spent over £150,000 last year training myself. And that was with masterminds in America, some of them in the UK, just getting all over the place and learning from what I perceive to be the world's best at what they do. I am always learning so that I can be better for you and I can be better for our businesses. Never, ever stop learning. But why do we keep teaching our staff and not ourselves? I don't understand it. We are the most valuable asset. Who's ever trained a member of staff and then they've left? Raise your hand if you've done that. That's annoying, isn't it? Training agreements, by the way, is a great way to get around that. Have training agreements. Have to pay you back if they leave after they've had training. But that's not the point I want to get to. What I'm saying here is we're not going to leave. So we need to invest in us, and that's what this slide is about. Create a process for you to learn. You need to have continuously some way of learning. I sign up to masterminds. I'm in one down in Canterbury. I'm in another one over in Boise, Idaho. I'm constantly in masterminds, learning stuff all the time so that I can develop and grow and evolve our businesses and help you grow as well. And you need to do the same because, let's be honest, no one else is going to do it in your business. No one else is going to drive your business forward. No one else is going to come up with new ideas. People say to me, Sam said it this morning, 100K? That's a load of bullshit, isn't it? 100K? Can I add 100K? What a load of crap. That's not possible. It's just whatever. But it's because they don't know what they don't know. They didn't know what I was talking about. They didn't know what they needed to do. They went in boot camp. Oh my God, £354,000 later, and they've already got a plan for another 300K. Then all of a sudden they know the answer. We don't know what we don't know. And that's one thing that we need to be very aware of. I can remember for 10 years in my business, I sat there in the fat and happy stage, as they say. Cash coming in, making money, business didn't need me, happy days, it was great. But the challenge was the business wasn't moving forward because I wasn't doing anything to learn because I knew everything. I've been in business 20 years. What could you teach me? I'm the best in lettings in Wolverhampton. And that was stupid. But after 10 years, I started doing training, and I actually realized, Jesus Christ, I know very little. There's a load I need to learn, and that was through getting out there and learning. We don't know what we don't know, and we believe our own bullshit that we are the best at what we do. None of us are the finished product. None of us are the best at what we do. We are all just work in progress, all of us, myself included, everybody here, we are all just work in progress. And we need to understand that and look for people to learn from that maybe have a solution. Be curious and explore options. Yes, I know that most big claims you can make 100K doing this are bullshit. I know that in most cases when it says, oh, do this one thing and you can get 10,000 followers on Instagram, are bullshit. But maybe it isn't. Have a look behind the scenes. And when you find, like with our bootcamp, for example, over 380 five-star reviews, we've won the Esther Awards 2 years running for top training provider, and hundreds of letting agents making videos and doing reviews saying, my God, I've made a shit ton of money. Go and check them out, because you know what? Maybe they're actually right. So keep learning, because you never know what you will find out the other side of that fence. And another great thing they say from the networking, actually, and this is the last line here, don't be the most educated person in the room. If you're in a group of people where you're the most intelligent and everyone's learning from you, get out of that room. You need to be in a room where you're learning from the people you're mixing with. Otherwise, you're not in the right room. And it goes along with that saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. It's the same sort of thing. And then focus on matter. Focus on what matters. Try and avoid sorting the keys out, just like that Sue did. Oh, I've been working on sorting out the keys. Yeah, but it's £500,000 here. Yeah, but the keys needed doing. No, you need to focus on that £500,000. Yeah, but what else could you possibly be doing that's going to add you £18,000 for inspections, £50,000 for another acquisition, which isn't going to cost you any money, £100,000 as adds additional fees on there, additional services, VIP layers, side sales, upsells, downsells. What could you possibly be doing that isn't going to add you any extra revenue than that? There's nothing. And yet, tomorrow, Monday, you'll be there going, oh yeah, but I've got to do my emails. No, you've got to find a way to stop yourself doing that and focus on the thing that's going to move the needle and make the money. And that's only going to be you. So put an hour aside every day. Promise me this. You're going to put an hour aside every day to focus on growing your business. Do you agree to that? Give me a nod or a shake if you agree to that. An hour a day. If you just spent an hour a day, right, this is my power hour, no phones, no emails, nothing, turn the Wi-Fi off. Just focus on how you're going to add revenue. And if you did that an hour a day, every day for 30 days, trust me, your business will be in a very different place. You need some ideas, you need some implementation, but you know what? You will make a massive difference to your business. It really can help. And reduce the noise. Reduce the calls in the office. All right, get those calls out of your office. Those tenant calls, get them out of the office. You don't need to be speaking to hundreds of tenants every day. Go and invest some tech and go and get rid of it. It's not expensive, but just get it out of your office. Create an online function. Get all of your sales team in their lane. They can't sell if they're helping the tenancy management department do something. They can't sell if they're dropping keys off to a contractor. They can't sell if they're dealing with a HMO query. They can only sell if they're allowed to sell. And as soon as, and one thing I've learned, as soon as you let a salesperson do anything else other than sell, that will be their excuse. Well, you see, my sales were really low last month because I had to help Mary in management because I was doing that, that key audit thing, and she had me to go down the storeroom, and we had to go to that property and that. That's why I haven't done the sales. So don't let them. They just sell. Why are you helping Mary? I can help Mary. I can get someone else to Mary. You're not helping Mary, okay? Leave Mary alone. You just focus on getting the sales in. And all of a sudden, you'll see they have no option but to sell. You've got to close all the doors so they have nowhere else to go other than to sell. Have a sales team separate. There is a reason why we have the front-end lettings team over here, the tenancy management team in a different building over there, accounts is separate, the ads company is separate, everything is separate. Because the ads companies can focus on ads, the tenancy management can focus on tenancy management, the sales can focus on lettings and sales. Everything needs to be separate. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean to have to be separate buildings, but separate departments, separate divisions, separate sections. Now, I know you may be smaller businesses, but that's got to be the goal. That's where you want to get to. As soon as you can, split it out in separate sections, because otherwise it's noise. And also, think about this. If you're a salesperson and you're hearing the tenancy management saying that so-and-so is not very happy and tenancy management's crap and this person hasn't paid, it's going to neg them out and stop them selling as well. So as soon as you can start to separate that process, all of a sudden things will act a lot sweeter. So try and separate them as much as possible. Training, in my experience over the years, reduces problems. I can remember, what was it, about 15 years ago, it might have been longer, I don't know, they blur into one, don't they? And my son had this game, and it was called Theme Park. And it was, anybody played Theme Park? Anybody played Theme Park? Just me? All right. And it was a PC game called Theme Park, and you had to build like a roller coaster theme park, and then you had to manage the business to get it to sell more theme park tickets. And one of the nifty little functions on it was that you could spend a few quid to send your staff on training. And if you sent them on training, all of a sudden their productivity increased and you sold more tickets. But you know what? That's absolutely true in business as well. If you train your staff to sell more, to learn the scripts to convert from those leads, to learn how to deal with the individual avatars and their specific needs. You train them about the different services you now offer. You train them, no, you can't give free buy-to-let advice to that landlord when they walk in. There's a fee for that. There's a service for that. Stop doing that. No, you can't sit and wait for British Gas for 7 hours because they want to use their own contract and they don't want to use yours at 45 quid. No, you can't do that. No, you can't spend 9 hours sorting out the electricity bill on that property that the landlord's decided not to pay and not charge them a fee for that. You can start training them on charging your hourly rate for additional services. You can start training them on actually being a good ally for your business, helping you to make money, not lose money. That comes from training, and that training comes from you. Understanding, building the process, understanding the process, passing on the process, and implementing the process. Have focus hours on big deals and moving the needle stuff. That's got to be essential for you guys. You have that hour every single day, but that applies to your staff too. Give your managers free time. I call it white noise time. Give your managers and yourself white noise time so that you can focus on the things that that department, your business needs to grow that revenue and build that additional services.